Hey girl, welcome to Finding My Best Self, the podcast where it's totally okay to show up in your leggings and messy bun. Because let's be real, that's our uniform here. The only rule is to be unapologetically yourself.
And I'm Mandi, and joining me is Pam, the queen of finding the silver linings. We're here to share laughs, tears, and everything in between. Think of us as your new best friends with some stories to tell and wisdom to share.
From face palms to victories, we're diving into the journey of self-discovery, wellness, and what it means to truly embrace who you are. So whether you're conquering the world or just trying to find your phone in the black hole, purse, we've got you covered.
Because here it's all about encouraging you to lace up those sneakers, or don't, we're not judging, and join us as we explore what it truly means to own your confidence and find your best self.
So pour yourself a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and let's get into it. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Finding My Best Self. We had to unfortunately last week. So if you are wondering where we were, we're really sorry. Life has been lifing. And so this week we're back with you and we're doing a joint episode this week. That was not necessarily planned for this to happen, but after what's been happening over the last few weeks, Mandi and I felt that it was really important to come on and do a joint episode to talk about what's been going on. So we're going to hit a little bit on our personal life and what we've been going through each individually and together.
Yeah.
And as well as what we're also hearing from lots of our friends and just what apparently is going on in the world right now. Mm-hmm. And then just kind of touching on, I know we talked a lot this year about self-care, but we're going to talk about self-care in just a little bit of a different aspect, just because it's what's really, really hit us hard this year, especially here in the last few weeks. So, and just being, again, just truly very open and honest and real and authentic, and taking y'all along this journey of life with us, and hopefully
literally with us.
Yeah. And hopefully y'all can relate. Hopefully, maybe we help some people, and just knowing that you're not alone, and whatever it is that you may be experiencing, whether it is in a very similar aspect to us, or even just taking it and putting, this situation in your own terms, because it is overall at the end of the day, how we're both coping and handling the situations. It's something that everybody can do. And it's a way and a mindset and how you choose to look at it and to see it, and how that has changed for us over the years. So with that being said, I guess we'll jump into it from, I really do want to just jump in from like what you said before we started, that we don't really talk about exactly what happened, because this is really what kind of kick-started the last chaos.
2 weeks.
Wait, hold on. I'm saying 2 weeks, but wait a minute. My episode, which I'll share with y'all in a minute, was at the beginning of March.
Yeah.
So it's really been a month.
It's been a month. Wow.
Yeah. And so we've just kind of kept quiet because, when there's medical things that go on, you just want to sort them out before you actually speak publicly about them. We've just been kind of dealing with things before we were like, when were we going to be ready to share like what's been going on? So, but there was something that happened with Mandi and I that it didn't have anything to do with MBS per se. It was more so just an experience that we had with a friend. And, Mandi and I talk a lot about, and let's just preface this episode that we don't want it to be 100%, I guess, biblical and anything like that. However, for Mandi and I personally, that's where all of this is going to come from. So just know that we're going to talk about that in that aspect. But we have been diving deeper and deeper into our faith and our calling with MBS and in our personal lives too. So we had a sit-down meeting with a friend of ours, and there were just some things that happened, some things that were said, and some revelations that we had, some really, really deep, personal, faith-based revelations that were had. And it was after that day that experienced some really, really heavy spiritual warfare type things. Because if you know anything about faith, if you are someone who does read the Bible and in scripture, you know that the closer that you get to your calling and the more that you lean into God and the more obedient you are, the more that the enemy will try to attack, because there is nothing that the enemy wants more than to stop you from doing what God is calling you to do. So with that being said, shortly after that, which also, if you follow us on MBS and you saw the day that we posted that we were doing a photo shoot and things like that, that day, which was an incredible, awesome day of getting our hair done and, just being completely pampered and having all of these, such a great photo shoot, and everything was completely fine at 10 something or that night. I ended up having my first ambulance ride ever in my life. Really, really scary moment. So I was in the emergency room overnight with what I didn't really, I knew partially what it was, but it was just worse than what it's ever been. But I've been having stomach issues for my life. No, not my entire life. I've been having issues with my gallbladder, or not gallbladder because that's gone. Since I had my gallbladder out, I've been having issues with my stomach. So long story short, I found out that I have what's called an ileus in my small intestines. No, I have not seen a doctor yet because they want me to go to a gastro doctor, and that's a whole different story in itself that we don't need to talk about on the podcast. But I am doing natural remedies to hopefully try to correct it myself. I've also, which y'all have heard me talk about her before, Casey Trosclair, I've reached back out to her and getting all of my blood work redone. And in reaching out to her, I found out that there are some other things that may or may not be an issue, which I don't want to talk about because I don't know for sure. Yet that she was more concerned about than she was the issue with my small intestines, and if that is really what it is a lot more serious than just my intestines. So I'll share with y'all when I know more on that. So, with that being said, it was like a tailspin, right? The entire month of March I was coming down off of this, really bad attack that I had, which when I have those attacks, just really throws my entire system off, right? Because my intestines are not right. Everything's backed up, which affects me mentally, emotionally, physically, like the whole 9 yards. Like everything just threw me for a loop. So I spent the entire month of March. After that, I say the entire month of March, but just trying to get myself back together. And then twice in March, I had some other just really heavy spiritual warfare type of attacks where I have not, for the last 2 years, ever really sat in a really dark place. I have not sat in a really, really dark place and had really hard, really bad thoughts in years. And that happened not once, but twice. And just having to really dig deep into my faith and just to pull myself out of those situations. I don't even know, like I'm just telling my story at this point because I know that we want to talk about like what else we've been doing. But that was what had happened with me, which so just so that y'all know, everything is for the most part okay now. Like I said, my stomach's feeling a lot better, and I got my blood test back and everything that was really high. Cause that's what was so scary about it is that afterwards, my liver levels were through the roof. My kidney levels were really high. I had my white blood cell count was really high. My blood work was really scary to look at, from that night in the emergency room, but everything's back to normal. So that feels good. And I don't know if that's partially because of the things that I've been doing to help it, because it was a month later that I got my new blood work done, or if it's just really because my body was just in shock moment and just made all of my levels skyrocket. Regardless, they're back to normal, which is why I'm talking to you guys about it, because now I feel a little bit more okay to actually speak on it. And then not long after that, Mandi had a full whirlwind
2 weeks of
issues,
still coming off of it. So that's why last week I was originally supposed to do a solo, and it just lifed. And I don't think it's coincidence that both of us are kind of going through similar things, not similar, but similar. But it's definitely been, like you were bringing up, it's been 2 years since you had those dark thoughts. And I mean, the same for me, like totally spun me back into 2020, 2019. And the same things that I was dealing with then started to creep up again and completely just kicked me off of my feet, and still is. Like, I still, sitting here, I can still feel it. And it's definitely something that I'm trying to fight through with, being more in my faith. And I know that we'll kind of jump into that, but it's for sure one of those things that, I was fine. Everything has been going for the most part great. Obviously, I've had some big decisions in my life that I'm having to make at this time. And I think that that's where a lot of this has stemmed from. I let it get the best of me, and I didn't trust. And that word obedience is my word for the year. And I think that these situations that have happened have really stemmed from just that spiritual warfare to trying to have me not trust and not be obedient and fall back into those old habits of anxiety, panic, stress, the dark, deep depression, like all of those things. And, and to the outside, we look like we've been fine. Right. And that's the scary
good old
part.
Social media.
That's the scary part, is because you never know what someone's going through. And that's why we do this. That's why we have the podcast too, is to shed light on those moments where people really need to know that they're not alone, because we look like we have it together when really, we're struggling, and we don't want to be silent on that, because it came from someone else. And so, Monday night, 2 weeks ago, sitting watching a movie with my daughter, and it just hits me out of nowhere. Intense head pain, like someone was pushing on my brain. I've never had that before. I do have tendencies to pass out, so that's nothing new. But I was like, okay, well, maybe I just need some water. Just got up, acting, like everything was fine, fixed dinner, and then all of a sudden I go to faint. And so I went lay down. I ended up fainting, and I just called. Like, I gotta get this checked out. So they treated it like it was an aneurysm, just because of the head pain, the, passing out, nauseousness, and all of that. Luckily, it was not that, because that would have been super scary. Blood work came back fine, gave me some fluids, and sent me on my way. Well, that whole week, I was not myself at all. The headache, honestly, if I can be completely honest, hasn't gone away until probably this weekend. And I think a lot of it now, looking back, is hormonal, which that's something that I'm going to have to, check into and get seen for. But then I ended up back in the ER. I was at school, and my heart rate was irregular and my blood pressure was really low. And so they sent me to the ER. So I don't know if it's stress related or heart related, but I'm just following through, because I do feel like it's important to take care of ourselves. And I feel like that was the main message for me that I needed to hear, whether I needed to be thrown into this whirlwind of 2 weeks where I'm literally praying through it day by day, minute by minute, and just praying over us, ourselves, and just knowing that we're safe, we're protected, and that, there's more for us, and we just have to trust and be obedient and make sure that we're doing the things to take care of us. And so slowing down has been the words that I hear, and that's what's kind of happened. I did take off a couple of days of work, which would have never happened. But because this kind of kicked me off my feet, and I was not okay. I can honestly say that. And I mean, still at this point, I can still feel my body. And I mean, if you ever had anxiety or panic or any of that before, you know what I'm talking about. And it just, you don't feel like yourself. You're completely off. You just feel like you're going through the motions, and
trying not to have the triggers that would trigger you before. And I felt so defeated though, because I felt like I had worked so hard to get to this point, to not do that again. Like I knew I was grounded in my faith. I knew that it was spiritual warfare. I knew it was from the enemy, but at the same time, your body almost responds back to that. It's almost like that muscle memory. That's like, oh, this is happening. Let's completely shut down. And that's what was happening was, you know if that was what's causing the heart to kind of skip a beat and do different things like that, because that's what's happened. So I still want to follow up with that. For sure, the pain part of it. And I just have been so upset over it, because I just feel like how am I letting myself get back to that? Like I was doing so good, and literally, but I also think it's a response to the stress that I was putting on myself. It's delayed response, but it was for sure. You stressed about all of these things, and now your body is reacting to that because it's trying to get rid of it almost, because that weight has been lifted, because I have been able to sort through those situations and finally listen and pray on it and know what I need to do. But my body's reaction to it has just completely thrown me for a loop. And I feel like I'm back in 2019 where I'm constantly being triggered and constantly having to like pray through it to not spiral again. So it's mentally draining, and it's definitely kicked me out of my game where I'm not myself. And I can honestly say that. And that's something that's really hard to say, because you don't want to fall into that depression again or that anxiety, because you know that that's not coming from God. And I know that that's just not for my good. But I do know that the situation has been for my good, because it has allowed me to see what I really need to focus on and where my faith needs to lie.
Yeah. And you said it's hard to say that, but at the same time, it's good to say it. Yeah. And I think that that's a portion of the growth, right? Is because I know, and I can probably speak for you too, that back in those times years ago when we used to have those experiences of panic attacks and anxiety and depression, I would never have admitted I'm not okay. I would have never had said I'm not okay, like, or given myself the grace or trying or anything like that. It was, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, just shoving it down.
Like put it down, and everybody's like, are you? And like, I'm okay or whatever. And maybe behind closed doors, when I was alone, I was in tears, crying, telling myself I'm not okay. But I would have never said out loud, or especially to anyone else, I'm not okay. And that's growth, right? That's growth in itself, to be able to just speak that. And how therapeutic that is too, in a sense, to be able to just release that and say, I'm not okay right now. And I just need a minute, or I just need some time to work through this, because I'm not okay, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is. So, I mean, that in itself is growth. I know for us, and might be a little bit of a lengthy episode, because I really want us to hit on, over the last several weeks, the amount of times that we've talked and the different things that we've talked about, what these last few weeks have shown us in so many different aspects, which I think initially, the very, very initial thought was going to the spiritual warfare, like the attack from the enemy and just the trying to take us down from the high that we were on from that day that we spent with our friend. And just everything that's happened in general, all of 2024. If y'all follow me on TikTok, y'all saw my video that I said I recently spoke to a friend. This is a different friend who said, if someone would have told me in 2024 that this is what 2025 would look like, I would have been like, higher, because we spent all of 2024 on like this high. And even the beginning of this year is just like, it was just like going and going and going, and it kept happening and happening and happening. And then 2025 comes along, and it's just like, not that it's so crazy, because it's not that good things aren't happening.
I was about to say,
good things are still happening. But at the same time, we're getting hit with a lot of different pressures, whether it would be, and I'm speaking for ourselves, and I'm also speaking on behalf of a lot of other people and friends that we have that we've been
Mhm.
talking to, because, and this is why we wanted to come and do this on this podcast, is because we know that we're not alone, and we want you to know that you're not alone, because that is part of what's nice, to have a good, close group of friends that we're open with each other. And then also seeing things that other people who are open about their
Right.
lives on social media, who are also sharing,
Yeah.
I'm not okay right now.
Right.
Things are really, really hard right now. So whether it is physically with your own body,
Mhm.
in a health way, whether it's in relationships, whether it's financially, whether it's inside of careers, whether it's, family issues, like there's so many different people dealing with issues in very personal, like deep ways.
Yeah.
Like it's not surface level stuff, right?
No.
It's not
Yeah.
like I got in an argument with my husband yesterday. This is
Right.
like really deep, serious stuff. And that's hitting a lot of people that they're just trying to work through this year. So I think when we first started seeing these things, it's, again, 2024 was so great, and we were being obedient, and, it was just blessing after blessing. And even this year, we've seen a lot of that happening on a much deeper spiritual level for the two of us. And this, I'm speaking on behalf of us. And then it's like the enemy just completely knocked us.
Yeah.
And we knew that, right? And we knew that from jump. And like Mandi said, it's that, but at the same time, and you're praying and you're saying, God, I trust you. And, we're praying the protection over us, everything, like, rebuking the enemy. Like we're doing all of the prayers and doing all of the things, and, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and like all of the things. And that, but at the same time, your body, it's just, again, that full surrender and that trust. And we do, and I do. And that's what I kept telling Mandi, is like, I know that it's going to be okay. And so then we went from that into this thing, being able to see it, and not just this, but even some other things that have happened to, of being able to say, almost like to tell the enemy, like, joke's on you.
Right.
Because as much as you're trying to hurt me right now, you have no idea how much you are helping me to glorify God right now.
Or confirm things that we knew we were just, I think for me, it was like, oh, well, maybe like you question it, but like you have a deep knowing that like, this is what I need to do and to trust and all of those things. And so it's like the enemy was trying to push me back to the past and how I was before. And it's like, no, like I know exactly what's happening. Does it suck going through it? Absolutely. But at the same time, you're confirming for me all the things that I already knew. And it just made my faith stronger.
Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm like. That's like, joke's on you.
Right.
Like, haha, like you're trying to knock me down,
Right.
and you're not going to knock me down. I'm not going to allow you to take me down. And I'm going to continue to fight against you. And all you are doing is you're not pulling me away from God. You're making my faith that much stronger.
Yeah.
And so it was like the recognition part initially of like knowing what it was and where it was coming from.
And that's the huge part.
And
because if you don't, then you get sucked back
That's
in.
where the tailspin comes from, right? And then it's seeing the beauty in it. And that's really hard. It's really hard to sit in things that are really hard. It's really hard to sit in, and especially when you're getting hit from multiple angles. And I know Mandi and I, we are both, it's multiple angles. It's, like Mandi said, she has a lot of really big life decisions. And then just like the medical stuff, all of it. And it's just like when you're in that spot where you feel like it's one thing and then another, and then another and another. And you feel like it's like, again, it's like in the ocean, like a wave, and you finally coming up, and you might be able to take a breath, and another wave hits you again. And it's just like that constant, like the wave after wave after wave. And you're just like, that's where that anxiety and everything comes from. And it's just like, when am I going to get to take a breath? So it's being able to sit in those things and be able to say, this is really hard and I'm not okay, but God, I trust you. I trust what you are doing. I can see what you are doing. And that's like the third part is when not only it's the recognition that it's the enemy, seeing the beauty in it and being able to say, you're just making my faith even stronger. but being able, I don't know how to explain this. This is such a hard thing to explain, to be able to, I'm going to refer you talk about your verse, because that's the best way for me to explain to it. And that's, I told you, I wrote it in my journal this morning, because I was journaling about all of the things right now and how I feel. I wrote down, I said, all I feel like right now is I don't like that term, just go through emotions, even though that is what I wrote. I don't know what else to say, because I feel like going through the motions is numb, and I'm not numb.
No. Yeah.
I'm not numb to it. It's like I'm in the place where I'm just like at a time, and I don't even want to say one day at a time. It's literally one step.
One step
like,
at a time.
Okay, like one step at a time.
But that goes with the verse.
That's when I wrote down the Bible verse, which is Mandi's.
You're a light of my path, and the lamp of my.
You are the lamp of my
and the light of my path. Which is wild, because that verse has followed me forever. And I sent Pam a picture this morning of my Bible that I bought in 2023 when I had like fully was like, okay, God, like surrendered. I give it to you. And it's the first on the cover page with 2023 written on it. And she's like, I just wrote this verse down today.
Literally wrote it in my journal.
I'm telling you, that verse has literally been one, but I think that's what it is. One step at a time. You can't see the light far. Yeah. But you have enough of a vision to see where you're going. Right. And it's each step is going to take you closer and closer to that. And I think that's where we're at. Yeah. And we're getting hit so hard because we do know. We have the knowing about everything. I mean, this doesn't just go with our business, our life in general. We can see it. We know it deep down. We know the direction it's going. We just have to be faithful and continue to trust. But at the same time, it's taking one step at a time and letting him light our path, not us trying to determine what that looks like. And that resistance is what causes the anxiety, the stress. And that's what I was doing to myself. I was letting that side of it take over and question, even though that I knew, I know everything's going to work out for our good. I mean, that's what it says. Nothing is done that's not going to be done for your good. And that's exactly what I was allowing myself to do, was to question the things that I should have just trusted. I should have been obedient. And I just feel like the enemy grasped a hold of that and was like, all right, like you're back in, your days of anxiety and stress. So I'm just going to make that 10 times worse. And I do still feel like there's things that I obviously need to do to take care of my body. I mean, I'm not saying that this was just all spiritual warfare. Like I do feel like there's some certain things that I've been putting off that I need to take care of. And I think we can speak to that too, because as mothers, as women, we're constantly putting everyone else first. And we don't need to do that, because what's going to happen is going to build up, spiral, and then you're going to end up, having a situation you could have prevented, I guess. But it's for sure just trusting what we already know and what we feel. And even if you don't know, you should know that you just have to have faith in it and just continue to pray and know that it's going to work out for your favor. So
it's that priming season, right? It's that being able to see. Then that's what I was going to say earlier, is it's so to sit in this hard and not feel defeated. I feel, because I won't lie. Like I can tell you, I have prayed to God and asked him many times, like, when is this going to be over?
Right.
When am I going to come out on the other side? But I know that it's coming. But I'm so grateful for everything that I'm going through right now, because either I was going to say A or B and try to separate it, but it's not. Everything is such a huge life learning, going back into last year. And I know that I've talked about this on the podcast already, just at the end of last year, where I started to feel like, let me go back to the beginning of last year, as God was like, I'm going to show you, and aligned me with all the right people in the right places at the right time. And, building up MBS and all of this that's to come. And then at the end of the year, I started to get into a place of, he was like, okay, now you got a little taste of what this is going to look like. But before you can see it through, there's all things that you have to learn. And it was you still have to make time for your family. I learned that I got hit hard with that at the end of last year, of still taking time for you and your family, and being able to divide those two things, God, family, work, right? And then earlier this year, I got hit with the whole, financial piece of it, of before you get to see, like, we got to go through this financial side of it, and, and tides and exactly, giving and all of those things, like, that really I got hit with earlier this year. And then this happens, with the, the health, the health part of it is, if you don't take care of yourself, your health is going to deteriorate through all this, so it's like, it's that priming, it's that preparation, it's that
chipping away at our old self,
right,
and creating the new.
To he's planting those seeds. Or and just to to be able to see and experience everything that he has for you. Gosh, what did she say on Social Dallas this morning?
I know, it was so
if
good.
Y'all do not listen to Social Dallas Church on YouTube or watch it, don't listen to it, watch it. I'm telling you, I have sent this church to so many people, and one day I will take a trip there and I will sit in that church and listen to him, because he has carried me through since, I think the first episode was sent to me, or I say first episode, there was one that was sent to me back in October of last year, and I have literally faithfully watched every Sunday since then, because Pastor Robert has literally carried me through these last several months. And today he had a guest speaker, Charlotte.
I don't know. I didn't catch
Charlotte something. But anyway, it was, if y'all go look it up on YouTube, it's Social Dallas Church, their service from today. And she really hit home on that. And just talking about, that God is like, you're not going to get, you are worthy, but you don't get until you are prepared. I don't know. It's just,
it goes right back into what you were saying, because while you were talking, that's literally what I was thinking, because she was saying that in order to get to where you need to be, you have to, it's the preparation part, but also know that the things that you're going through are those big lessons, because you can't, it was something to do, like, you can't get what you deserve until almost like you're going to appreciate it more.
Yes.
And you're going to be able to know that you are worthy of all of these things. At the same time, in order for you to really consume it and to know, you have to appreciate it. And I feel like that's happened, which is not ironic. It's coincidental that both of us have been going through that over the last couple of months, for sure, that all of these little pruning things have been changing the family, making sure that we, put family first and through all of this. And because I do know what's coming, and not just in our business, but personally, God's growing us to be someone that can be, able to speak on it. And we keep saying it every time, this is going to be our testimony one day, because all of these little things that are happening aren't just happening on accident. It's preparing us for something later. And I feel like once you see that, you don't look at the spiritual attacks as a bad thing. It's like, okay, this is something else that I can attest to, because I was able to go through it and to speak on it and to know that this came up on the other side. And that's what keeps me going, Lisa. I know you too, that you can get through the hard things because you know that there's something beautiful on the other side of it that you're going to be able to speak to later, to show your faith for God and what all he's done for us. So
yeah. And it doesn't make the spiritual attack stop.
Right. Kind of makes them more intense almost.
It doesn't mean that they're going to stop. It doesn't mean that they're not going to come again. It just means that you're able to handle them better and be somewhat appreciative of them, because it just lets me know that I am doing the right thing. Like you said, it's that confirmation of letting me know that if I wasn't, I wouldn't be getting attacked by the enemy so ruthlessly.
Right.
It wouldn't be coming at me from every angle all at once. He wouldn't be trying to drag me down if I wasn't doing the right thing. And so I guess in all of this, it's just a matter of knowing that no matter what it is that you're going through, whether, no matter what it is in your life. One of the other services that I listened to, I think I made a TikTok talking about this a little bit too. And so at Social Dallas, this was a weekend or two ago, and he talked about how God's not on a rescue mission.
Mhm.
He's not coming to rescue you. So stop praying for God to rescue you from this. And he said, Jesus walked on water. He didn't run.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, so like, when they say in scripture that God is always with you and he's always there and he was always on the boat with them. And I wish I could remember, there's one specific portion in the Bible when they're on this boat and Jesus is not there with them.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there. And he said, it's like that. It's like you feel like you're in the ocean and you're on the boat alone. And he's like, and all these waves keep coming and crashing over you. And he said, but God's still there and he's watching over you the whole time. He's never going to let anything bad happen to you. He said, but there may be people out there that when all these bad things start happening, he's like, you're looking up at him and shaking your fist at him, saying, God, what are you doing? Why are you letting all of this happen? When are you coming to save me? And he says, and what you should be doing is looking up at him and saying, thank you, God, for never taking your eyes off of me. And just know that when he said, he's not on a rescue mission. This is a mission of revelation. And he's like, and when that time comes, when your revelation has come, he's like, he's going to walk on water and he's going to put his hand out and save you from, from those waves. And it's just really sitting with and trying to see the beauty in the chaos. They talk about that. They have that saying, the beauty in the chaos. And I truly think that that's what that means, is being able to see all of the hard things that you're going through in a positive perspective of this really sucks and it's not fun and it's really hard. But I know that at some point it's going to be for a greater good and I'm going to be able to look back and see, or really, even if you really deep into your faith, that you can see God, you can literally see what God is doing and what you can see and understand the reasoning why. I think that's the shift that you and I have recently had. I used to say, I don't understand God. Like, I don't get it, but I'm going to trust you and just, okay. Like, I don't get it, and that was kind of going back to my vision with MBS at that time. Like, I didn't have that relationship with God to say, like, I can,
like, okay, let's go.
Yeah,
like,
it was,
all right.
This is really scary and I don't really know, but okay. Like, I'm going to do, and I'm just going to trust you.
Right.
It was like, almost like that hesitant, whereas now over the last year and the more and more I've dug into my faith and the more I dig into scripture, it's like, I can see.
Oh yeah.
Now in the here and the now, I can see.
And I think
so
that
no matter what place you are in life, just know, I think it's just having that trust and having that faith through the hard and knowing that if you are feeling those attacks and you are feeling like, I was obedient, I did what I felt like I was supposed to do, and now I'm getting hit sideways. Don't stop.
Right.
This isn't your sign that you need to stop. This is your sign letting you know that you're doing the right thing. Keep going and keep pushing forward, and tell the devil that he can sit in the seat. Right. Like, I know you're not going to go away and you're going to continue to taunt me, but you're going to do it from back there. I got the steering wheel and I'm driving this bus.
That came the other day. I was listening to some and they were saying that, like, if it's hitting you hard, that's your sign to run, because it's literally like you're on the verge of whatever it is. And that's when you get hit the hardest. And I think it's knowing that. And then it also helps you make decisions past that, because you're like, okay, like, I'm feeling this way because something big is happening, or the decisions that I know I need to make. And this is, from my personal experience, it just gave me so much more reassurance that I was on the right track, because the decisions I have to make are big, and it's something that's really going to change the trajectory of my life and what I'm doing, my kids, my family, like everything. And I think that's why it was so heavy, because I knew I needed to make it. I knew I needed to decide, but then I also, you have those hesitations, but
this whole process of it happening just confirmed that I am on the right track and that I do need to listen to what I already knew. But then also I feel like we don't need to let it push us back or to be scared of it, because it's something that if you really are deep in your faith and know that those confirmations, those little, they call them like little whispers of hope, those are the times that you really need to listen to it, because that spiritual warfare comes, or when big things happen, try and make you second guess what you already know. That is something that you just need to keep going with, because those are those moments where the big, you on the other side of the preparation, or that that you can look back and all these things are happening for a reason, and it continues to bring blessing. The peace, I feel like, is 100% what you have to look for. If you're trying to go through something and it feels forced or not right, then it's not. But if you have a sense of peace around it, even within the chaos, that's whenever you know it, that it's from God, and it's something that you truly need to do. Even if it doesn't make sense, or it feels scary, or you can see it but you're unsure, you will have a peace about it for sure. So, life.
It's good. And it's, it's seeing the growth, and it's seeing the change, and it's seeing, I don't even want to say growth. I mean, I guess it is growth in ourselves too, but it's seeing how much my relationship with God has changed over the last year and a half. And just,
we would have definitely handled all of these situations a lot differently 2 years ago.
Oh,
it would have been, without a doubt. You wouldn't have heard from me, because I would have been isolating myself. And
either that, I would have been 3 sheets to the wind. I would have been drunk.
Oh yeah, true.
So
we would have been.
I would have turned to the bottle, and I would have drank myself and I would have eaten, and I would have put on a lot of weight, and
then you would have known.
All kind of things would have happened. I promise you, I could tell you all kind of things. But so if you're in that, if you are in that place, if you are in that place of you're dealing with a lot of really hard things, and just hard, and that's the way that I can put it, is that you're just like, it's right now is just hard. I'm getting hit from every possible angle, or even if it's just one, no matter what it is, just know to just dig deep. And if you feel that your hard has come from you acting in obedience, and you have done something that you've always wanted to do, or something that you feel like you were being called to do, or you just took a leap of faith, whatever, and then all of a sudden you're getting hit with something, that's not your sign to stop. That is your sign to keep going. That is your sign of you did the right thing, and now the enemy is trying to twist it and say no. And what you need to be saying is, it's on you. You just let me know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and now I'm just going to push harder, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm trusting God, and I'm going to keep having faith, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And you ain't got to go nowhere. I get that you're not going to go nowhere, but like I said, you can take it in the back seat, drive this bus, and that's what you need to do. It's just know that it's all for a purpose and a reason, and just ride the wave as much as you can, one foot in front of the other, and just know that He is the lamp at your feet and the light of your path,
and that you're not alone, and that the
you're
rest of
not
us
alone.
We're
all going through it.
We're being open for everyone, I feel like, is the reason for this, because a lot of people just don't want to share their struggles, but just know that you're not alone, and that it's all for a purpose. And I feel like you have that in the forefront, and you don't let it consume you, and let you know that anything that's happening is going to have some kind of lesson or growth.
So hang in there. We're in there. We're in it with you.
We're in the trenches with you.
We're all going to get through it together. So with that being said, we hope that you have a blessed week. And as always, remember, you are strong, you are capable, you are worthy. We love you, and we are endlessly rooting for you. Y'all have a good one.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Finding My Best Self. It's been real. It's been fun. We hope you found a piece of your story in ours and feel a little more inspired to chase after your best self.
And don't forget to share this episode with someone who needs a little boost today, or a good laugh.
And make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
Nothing says owning your confidence like a new outfit from MBS Fitco. Check out the show notes for the link to shop our luxury athleisure. Go ahead, girl, treat yourself.
And if you've got a story to share or a topic you're dying for us to cover, drop us a line. Our email is in the show notes. Just reach out and let's keep the conversation going.
So, until next time, keep owning your confidence, embracing the chaos, and remember, the best version of you is just an episode away.
And again, we love you and we're endlessly rooting for you.